Hi folks, I'm just going to do a little demonstration video here on your van, just to give you a rundown how everything works. So we'll just start off inside here, and see if you can see there. Right, the first thing I'm going to show you here is your control panel. Now you can see I switched off the van there, and when you come in to switch on the van, you switch it on here. That's your main 12 volt on to switch everything on inside the van. So that's really the only switch that does anything that's on that panel. You can see now we're plugged in with a little yellow light on here. That just indicates that the van's plugged in. So if you're on a campsite, you can keep an eye on that in case somebody plugs you out, or your trip maybe goes off at the post or something. But that's just an indicator that your mains is actually coming into the van after you've plugged the van in. Over here then you have your battery condition. Now we've the van plugged in there now, and it's going up to the very top, 13.5, and that's the way it should be when you plug in. And when you start the engine, it should go up there as well. So that's a good indicator that your charging's working both ways, from your engine and from your plug-in. Now the next one down here is your fresh water level, which is at 100%. And then our waste here is empty, it's not showing up anything. So that's really all you have on the control panel. Over here you have a little black thing. It's a thermostat for your heating, just if you're wondering what it is. And around here you just have your alarms, your fire alarm and your gas alarm. So the next thing I'm going to show you here is your fridge. Now this is the main control panel here, and at the moment the fridge is actually on, and the only indicator that the fridge is on is that little green light. So that's how you know the fridge is on. The panel goes black once the fridge is running, just so you don't have any light coming out of the fridge. But that's your fridge actually on. To switch off the fridge, if we hold our button, our finger on there, you see the little green light disappeared again. So we'll start off now. That's your fridge off. To switch on your fridge, you hold your finger on the button, and you see everything lights up, and then it goes back. Now it'll always go back to the last setting. Now the last setting this was set at was automatic. So what I'm working on here is this first button here, and you can see as we press that, it scrolls along. That's gas there, that's automatic. The next one is mains, and that one there is running off your engine, and you can see it's flashing there now because our engine's not running. It's telling us that there's a problem. So we'll go back around to what's something we have. We have gas, and we have automatic. The way the automatic works is, if you set that on automatic, it's showing you what's available and what it's running on, and at the moment it's running on the mains. So if you're in automatic, we'll just hit that again. If you hit that again, it'll just bring it, that'll go off and go black after a couple of seconds, the way it did there now. If we plug out the van, it'll go on to gas, and if we start the engine with the van plugged out, it'll go straight onto the battery. Now the battery only works when the van's running. So the automatic feature is a great job because it'll rotate around whatever's available. At the moment it's going, mains is getting the priority above the gas to save you using gas. Now we plugged out the plug outside there, now it'll go straight onto gas. And if we start the engine, it'll go onto the battery, which only works when the engine's running. So there's no more running about pressing buttons when you're leaving the campsite or leaving home, or wondering, is the fridge working? Now the next thing up here is your temperature, and you can see, let's see, it's just gone black again for me. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's just your temperature. And what this is here, this here actual panel, and behind that, there's a heater on in there, and that stops condensation from the cold elements in the fridge from causing condensation sort of in here. And so just press that again, and that's actually on. You press that to knock it off. So just leave that on if you're on the fridge. So just to recap, that's just your different settings: automatic, electric on its own, which you can just select manually. That's our engine, which isn't working, and the next one's gas, and you can just select your temperature. And we'll go back and we'll leave it in automatic. And to switch off the fridge, hold your finger on that button, and the whole thing goes dark, and see the little green lights gone out. So that's just your fridge. The door's open here, and you have your fridge at the bottom, and just your freezer here at the top. So the next thing I'm going to show you here is your heater control. So now this is for heating the van and heating the water. And what you can do in this van, you can heat the water or the van on gas or electric or both. And this selector over here is a selector for the gas and the electricity. So we're working off this wee nub here, and at the moment it's on gas. So if we switch on the heating now, it's going to run on gas. If you want to run it on electric, you have two different elements. You have 900 and then you have 1800, which is two elements. So if we want electric, we'll go up here to either 900 or 1800 watt. Generally in Ireland, we'll just run it on 1800 watts. The reason they give you the lower wattage is for the likes of some of the foreign countries. They don't give you too much power coming into the van from the post. You might have to revert back to that. So I'll just recap. You have electric on full electric at the top, half electric then, and then you have gas, and then on down here you have a mixture of both. You can have the gas on and one element, and the gas on with two elements. So with the van plugged in and your gas switched on, you can run both if you really want to heat everything up very, very fast. Now the fastest way, or the normal way to heat things up fairly quick, is just on gas. But if you have a plug-in as well, you can use both. On electric, everything's going to be a little bit slower. It'll be a lot quieter as well. You'll think the heating's not actually working, but it's a slower heat. It doesn't generate as much temperature as the gas does, and it takes a wee bit longer to heat your hot water. But if you're in a campsite, you may as well keep it on electric and get your save your gas. So that's your power selection, which is on that side. And we'll go over here to this side here now, and this is what we want to heat up or turn on. And at the moment we're at 0, which is the heating's actually off, and the first setting down is heating the van. So we go into that wee flame there, that's heating the van. And what we've brought on there is a green light, which is telling us that the heater's actually working okay. If you get a red light on there, it's showing a fault, and it's normally that your gas is switched off, or you're not plugged in. So at the moment we have a green light, which means everything's okay. It's going to start up and run normally. And then on this inside knob here, we have our temperature, and it goes from 1 through to 5. Now if you run at 5, it's just never going to stop. The thermostat's not going to take effect, and it's just going to keep running. If you run it at around 3, the thermostat comes in and it'll knock the heater actually on and off, as it needs the heat to generate the temperature at 3 or 2 or 4. So you can mess about with the heating yourself. So that's the temperature inside the van when you're on heating. Now the next setting down on the outside is down at here at the bottom, and it's heating the van and heating the water at 60 degrees. So you're going to get hot water and heat inside the van. Now anytime you have the heating on, you're always going to heat the water because it's all incorporated inside the one unit. Now you can see when we switched on hot water there, we get a yellow light coming on here. What that's showing us there is we're starting to heat water. And once the boiler gets the water to 60 degrees, that yellow light will go out. So that works as well. Now when we go to the top here, we have water at 40 and water at 60 with no heating. So it's just heating the water. So the first one is 40 degrees, and this knob in here now doesn't do anything. You just leave that alone. When you're heating the water, that doesn't have any effect on it. But the only thing comes on is the yellow light. Now if you're wondering, is the boiler heated the water to 40? Once that yellow light goes out, it's heated the whole boiler to 40 degrees, all the water inside it. So if you want to have a shower then, if you bring this up to 60 degrees, you'll see the yellow light come back on again as it goes from 40 to 60. And about 10 minutes before you want to have the shower, just switch that up to 60, and you'll have the boiler actually running when you're in the shower. And that's the best way to get the most hot water out of it for the likes of a shower. But general operation, just use 40 degrees, because 60 can get very hot out of the taps. 40 is sufficient for doing your dishes and washing your hands and stuff like that. But that's just at the top you have hot water on 60 degrees, hot water on 40. 0 is the heater off. You have heating here, and then you have heating and hot water. And this is the temperature inside the van. And the yellow light's for heating water, and the green light's normal operation, and the red light in here, if it ever comes on, is a fault. So we'll just switch this back to 0, and that's your heating off. So we quick run on your hob. You're going to need an igniter for this hob. There's no igniter actually on it. The igniter that you're hearing there now at the moment is for your oven and grill. So what you have in the oven and grill is you have your knob here that's at 0, and your grill is over that way, and your oven is over that way, and you need to push in your gas valve and switch on. You can see the flame lighting up there. So we'll just switch that back off again, and at 0 it's off. Now the safeties and all these, if any kids or anything come in and start turning these knobs, if it's not lit, the gas will not come out. And the same, the safeties on these rings as well. So the gas will not come out when you switch these on unless it's actually lit. So that's a wee safety feature, the same as what you'd have at home. So the next thing I'm showing you here is just below the fridge. You can see your heaters in this compartment, and then as you follow the pipes over, there's a little blue valve here. Now what this valve does is at the moment it's in the correct position, which is straight across in line with the pipe, and that's actually closed. Now in the frost at about 2 degrees that'll actually open itself, and what it does, it drains all the water out of the pipework out onto the street outside. Now I'll just trip this to show you what happens. When I trip this little blue button's going to shoot out. So you see the blue button shooting out, that's what it's going to do itself in the frost. But we can do this manually ourselves if you ever want to drain the heater and drain the van. And how we correct that is we turn that back around again and press the button back in. That's very important. So what I've actually done there now is showing you how to winterize your van. What this is doing is protecting your heater from frost. If you're away from home in the van sitting outside and it gets frosty, at 2 degrees that there valve's going to activate itself and it's going to drain all the water out of the heater itself to protect the heater from frost. It will partially let the water out of the taps, but you're going to have to, if you want to winterize the van, you're going to have to manually do that yourself. And how you do that is you open the valve here. I'll just close that again. So you open the valve there and that opens all the pipework. And then you open all your taps in between hot and cold. And open your tap in between the hot and cold setting on all your 3 taps. Your ones in your bathroom and the ones in the kitchen, and all the water in the pipework is going to run out and back down through this valve out onto the street. Now, if we're looking in here in our boiler, you see there's a lot of pipes, and the boiler actually needs a bit of air to operate, so it wouldn't store anything in there at all. The same as in here, you just need to watch if you're storing stuff that you don't activate that valve by accident. Now, any time that you open your tap and you have bad pressure and you're wondering what's going on, always go straight to that blue valve and have a wee look. Make sure that's straight across and the button's pushed in. Because once that activates there, you lose all the pressure in your taps. So that can happen later on in the year when the temperature starts dropping a bit. That can activate overnight itself. Just to be aware of that. But in that compartment there, I would avoid sort of storing anything because the boiler, as I say, needs a wee bit of air to operate. I was showing you here, for you to winterize the van, you're going to have to open your tap in between. There's hot and that's cold. Make sure the van's switched off. Just lift that up there, and all the water here will eventually stop, and the water will drain back through this, out through that blue valve. Now, if the weather's very, very cold, like -5, that really cold winters we used to have, we'd recommend actually blowing into the taps to blow the water away from these here are only made of plastic. Once you have these here open between hot and cold and the valve open, to blow, actually put your mouth over this if you can and blow into it. It's just a wee extra thing for you. So when you come back then to refill the van again, what you'll do is you'll come back to your blue valve, put it back to that position there, and open your taps in the hot position, and that'll fill up the water tank here until you have a free flow coming out through your tap, and that's you back in action again. So what we're looking at here is your fresh water tank. It's just underneath the dinette seat here. The only thing you're going to really have to look at here is this valve here, and at the moment it's closed. For you to drain this fresh water tank, you just give that 2 turns, just no more than 2 turns, and that'll drain the water tank out onto the street. And just tighten it back up again then when you want to refill it, and it refills from outside there, and there's an overflow and stuff on it. You can take off that lid there if you ever want to clean the tank inside. So we're just in your bathroom here now, and I'll just show you your toilet flush. This will only work too with the pump on. You just press that and it flushes. And then when the cassette's full, you'll get a red light on here. And you see the shutter at the front here for opening and closing the toilet. And always make sure it's fully closed that way there. That extra wee ½ an inch makes a wild difference. And you see it open and closes. That last bit there makes a difference, just making sure it's fully closed. You've probably seen this already, but this is just how your shower flips around for your shower. You press on this, and that's your shower wall comes around, and you have your extra tap. So when you're winterizing the van, make sure you open this one as well, in between hot and cold. So that's your 3 taps, the one behind there, that one, and the one in the kitchen. Now what we'll have there is your, these are just gas valves for the van itself, and they're actually all on at the moment, so just leave them on and switch the, if you can switch the gas off at the cylinder. These here are really only for maintenance. So just one wee feature in the van here. You can see here at the moment I have the power switched off. Now there's one light that'll actually work with the fan switched off, and it's that one. You can see the light coming on and off. So that's your entrance light at night time. Even if the van's switched off, that'll always work. But just make sure you don't leave that switched on when you're not using the van. But that's the only light will work when the van's switched off, and that's just to get you in at night time. You know, you have your step, put out your step, and then press that. So even with the van off, if you come back at night time, you'll always get light to get you into the van. So we're just outside here looking into your boot. You have your jack and wheel brace there, and there's a blow up kit with a compressor and repair stuff in it, and your carpet sets there at the back, a wee box that your telly used to be in. So we'll just go around the outside of the van. We're just looking at our toilet cassette. Now just make sure that your toilet shutter is closed with no water in it before you pull this out, because whatever's in the toilet is going to come out when you pull this out. So it just pulls out there. Sorry, and when you're emptying it, you can see that yellow button there. That's like a vent button. You can push that when you're emptying the cassette and just lets it empty quicker. The only thing you're going to have to touch is that cap. Take it off and drain it out and put a bit of blue chemical in when you're putting it back in again, and just slide it back in, and it always catches in there. It'll always a good positive catch on it. So outside here you have that's just your exhaust from your heater, your main plug-in for your mains, just a wee flap there. And then looking underneath the van here, you can see this bar here is for your waste, and there's a little handle that fits on, and that opens and closes. So that's just for your waste there. That's it open that way, and that's it closed that way. You can see a bit of water coming out there. So that's the closed position there, and to open it you go that way. So you can see when I open it there, that's just a bit of water we were using for testing the van, and that's it closed again. So back inside the cab here, engine bonnet pull is here. Just you have to open the door to get at it. That's just on there. And underneath the passenger seat here, there's a wee compartment that lifts. See, this wee door just comes down. That's your main 12-volt control box. And you can see all the wee fuses at the bottom here, and they're all labelled, sort of tells you what they're all for. But that's your main control box there for the whole van, and then just a row of fuses at the bottom, and that's your charger and all, the whole lot built into one. Your engine battery, I'll just lift this up, is underneath that there cover there. But if you want to jump start the van, there's a facility underneath the bonnet for doing that. So we're back around to the driver's side here, and this is your barbecue point, and there's a little adapter that fits in there, and you'll just put your hose onto the end of that with a jibby clip, and that's you ready to rock with your barbecue. And then along here then is your freshwater fill, and along here then on past that is your gas compartment. So you can see there now at the moment we have a fitting on there that will facilitate the 6 kilogram hose or 6 kilogram bottle or the 11 kilogram bottle, and these loosen clockwise. So the first thing you're going to have to do, you're going to make sure you take this fitting off this bottle when you're changing it. Don't leave it on the bottle. You can hold this inner one here and this outer one, loosen it clockwise, and once that comes off, take off your hose and then loosen that clockwise as well. And when you're putting that back on the bottle, you can screw this on first onto the bottle and check the rubber ring in here, and then put this one back on, which goes anti-clockwise. Now if you leave this piece here off, you can fit this hose here onto a 6 kilogram bottle. So you have the facility there to use both different bottles. And there's your different spanners. You're going to need 2 spanners for that. And always run the van on propane, don't change over to butane or anything. That's the only gas that works properly in the campers. So just in the engine compartment here now, over in the corner here, just above the headlight, you'll see your window wash. You have your engine coolant water, your brake fluid. Down the front here you have your dipstick and your oil cap. And when we come along here now, your air filter's in here, and underneath this here cap you can see if you want to jump start the van, that's your positive terminal there. It tells you here on there's a wee cross on the top of that, but you just lift it up and put your positive of your jump leads on here, and put the negative onto the frame of the engine if you can get a bit of metal in here in the back, and that'll jump start the van for you. But there's not much else to see in there. Just check the oil all the time and make sure that dipstick's in fully, and that's really it. So I think this is about the last thing I have to show you. It's just your TV. Now you can see your TV, I'll show you that in a second. It just flips down from that cupboard just above the fridge, and in here we have our aerial. Now to activate our aerial, you just loosen the wee lock nut here, and you can push your aerial up and turn it. Now if you can see in here we have our booster, and there's a little light on it here, And the closer you can get that to green, the best signal. That's going to give you the best signal that you get that's available at the moment. So as we turn that, you can see it's maybe not too great in the camera, but you can see that change in colours there. And what you're looking for is the sort of yellowy green colour, or preferably green. But the nearest you can get to that, that's really the best signal you're getting. So once you adjust that, you can tune your telly. Now there's a wee switch up here just in case somebody switches it off. Now this will switch off with the van, so you don't have to worry about this, but just in case your TV reception doesn't work sometime and somebody switched, there's a wee switch up in there that you mightn't see. So that's all there is to your aerial, and when you're travelling, just pull your aerial down and tighten up your lock nut. So the TV itself, I'll just show you here. Every time you move this TV, because of this air view, we're going to have to retune it. What we're looking at here is see this, the second button down is called the quick start button. If we press that, it's giving us this little box in the middle, and then we press the OK button. And just keep pressing the OK button, and it says, do you want to retune the TV? OK, and press OK. And what you'll get up then is this little box on the screen, and this will just go the whole way up to the top, and it'll show you how many channels it's found. So that's how you retune your TV. So to retune the TV, we'll go back over, just press your quick start button, which is that one. You'll get that menu up, and you just keep pressing OK until you get to this, and just let it go then, and that'll find all the channels. In the south it'll get all the RTEs and stuff, and in the north it'll get you your BBCs and Channel 4s and stuff. But every time you move, you're going to have to retune. There's other stuff there. This source button here, if you press that, that'll get you through your DVD and AVs and stuff like that that you can plug into the telly. But that's just the handiest one there. And you can see already there's found 14 programs, so it doesn't take too long to tune up. That'll just shoot up itself, and then you'll get your channel list. Now the TV itself, you just pull this out the way and flip up your TV. Sorry, I'm back with you again. The TV's actually flipped up there now, and we're working on this little silver catch. Pushes in. If we want to drop the TV, we just pull that back out again. Now you'll find you might have to push the TV up to pull out that to release this catch. You can see the catch is released, and then the TV will just swing down. So itself a splinter, that clips up there. Make sure your silver clip is clipped in, and just sorry, I'm back with you again. Just push your TV back in, let your TV in, and tidy up your leads a bit, and get your TV back in, and then you can close your cupboard. And the TV is just plugged in up here, and that's just a little rectifier, 12 volt rectifier box to keep your voltage right for your telly. Now your telly's still on there now, but I'll turn it off in a second. But that's really all there is to the van. There's a few bits here. If you're making up this bed, you can see that table is on the top rail there. For us to get it onto the bottom rail, to make up the bed, we just press in this button, and half the leg, this leg will actually, it'll half up the way like that there, and you'll put the table down onto the floor then. So this bit here will be on the floor, and the back of the table will be on this rail here, and then you pull the two cushions out on each side, and that makes up your bed. And you can do the same on the far side. See, it's got a wee rail at the bottom, and it's got the rail at the top. Now to lift these tables up, just lift them up at a 45 degrees like that, and then lift the table off. Don't try to just pull it. Lift it up about 45 degrees, and the table will lift out. Now you can see there's wee teeth, and that'll lock it in to different positions when you're driving. You can see the wee teeth going to the other wee teeth here at the bottom. So when that locks down, that stays where it is. So if you want to have it forward there when you're driving, you can do that. But that's how you get the table off to move down to the bottom rail, 45 degrees, and just lift it off. So you can make that wee small bed on this side and the bigger bed on the far side. So we're just in the cab here now. There's just a few wee features. You have your reverse camera, and that'll come on and off when you go into reverse. And across here then, your aircon, if you can see it here, is that button there. So we start the van here. Let's see. Once you put on your fan, the fan has to be at least at 1 before this comes on, and switch that on and off, and that's your aircon. Now there's a couple of wee features you mightn't have seen before. This wee stalk here does your cruise control, and there's a speed limiter on it as well. The cruise control, you switch it up that way and give it a wee shot up the way, and that activates your cruise. And your speed limiter is down that way, and that's, you can set the speed limiter here. If you look on the dash, you see that 70 miles an hour. You can set that speed limiter at whatever limit you want. So if you set that at 55 mile an hour, the van will drive normally, but it won't go over 55. Or you can set it aside down at 40 for a speed limit. And that's what I'm doing there. I'm just pulling that down, just lower the speed and pushing up to higher the speed. So at 40 mile an hour, if you switch on that limiter, the van won't go over that. And every time you switch it on and off, it'll tell you it's coming on and off. And the cruise control just shows you cruise up in the screen. Well, it's just something that you mightn't realise you have. Everything else in the cab is really car-like. You get used to it okay. So hopefully that video is a bit of a help to you, and you can give us a ring anytime at all if there's any other questions you have on the van. Thank you.